Yeah, I mean, Fanta, here's the deal. I think a lot of people in the last 24 hours didn't know where this thing was going to go with Xavier, right? Sean Miller leaves for Texas. Everybody kind of knew that was going to be the deal. But then who's it going to be? And most people, from the sound of it, thought it would be Chris Mack returning to Xavier, where he was ultra successful under the same athletic director, Greg Christopher. Been at Charleston for one season. And ultimately, he talked to a few different people, Alan Huss being one of them, Drew Valentine, but he ended up going with Richard Pitino from New Mexico, who, according to my sources, this was something that Richard Pitino is also involved in the Villanova search, but everybody kind of thinks at this point it's going the way of Kevin Willard, who's at Maryland. Nothing's been done with Villanova. If you read the tea leaves, it just looks like it's going to be Kevin Willard's job once they are done with the NCAA tournament. So Richard Pitino kind of saw those tea leaves, said, you know what? I'm not going to wait around. And to be honest, I think the Xavier job fits Richard Pitino much better than the Villanova job. I think it's one that, again, we all know Richard. Richard's got a lot. He's got a lot of shit to him, right? He likes to have fun. Midwest guy. Like, I think he can, obviously, he was with his dad at Louisville growing up. So I think this is one that kind of fits for him. And again, they've got big time NIL at Xavier. They've got the same sort of, fan engagement and support that he had at New Mexico. So like New Mexico and Minnesota are jobs that Minnesota was a tough job. New Mexico is the best job in its league. Here he's got one that I think combines both of those.
My biggest question about Xavier right now is, will anybody still want to be a Xavier fan when they see that old ratty hat on your head that doesn't fit?
Yeah, it's too big. I gotta make it a little smaller. I'll make it a little smaller.
There you go. Here's the thing. There are times covering the Big East and the last couple of coaching cycles, I think about this, where I truly believe that Dave Gavitt is upstairs and he is grinning ear to ear, thinking about what this league that he made in 1979, not with Xavier, but what it is in 2025 in terms of the storylines. So for the first time, the Big East will have a television draft this summer between Fox, NBC Sports, and Turner. They'll draft the games. Each network will draft. So they haven't had that because they've been so lax.
When does 68 pick? What are we?
Right. So that's just exactly. The point is now, the television networks are going to lean into UConn because of their ratings. But what did this just do to St. John Xavier? It just made this a national game every time these two programs meet, where Xavier hasn't always been this heavy national needle mover in the regular season. This is, I think, a home run hire by Greg Christopher. Jeff just said it. You have the NIL dollars. The support's there. Richard went into Albuquerque. Him and his family embraced that area. You could tell the New Mexico fans loved Richard Pitino. They loved the way that he did it, the way that he cultivated the community, the way that he encouraged the crowd at the pit. How about the players he recruited? He had JT Toppin. He has Donovan Dent. He has Nelly Jr. Joseph. Imagine if he gets Dent to come into the Big East at Xavier. If you are Greg Christopher, I can understand the rationale behind, do I want to be known as the athletic director who keeps recycling and keeps recycling? And I think for him it was, you know what? Richard's 42. He's only 42, guys. He spent the last 10 years at the high major level. I think he learned lessons, Jeff, at Minnesota, and clearly he did with the last 12 years at the high major level. He got the job at Minnesota at the age of 30. He learned lessons at that job. Now he's, I think, ready for this step up back into a high major league and into the Big East. And I really like this hire.
Hey, Fanta.
Well, but here's the thing. You know what the biggest difference is?
He had to do it now because the Mountain West isn't going to be the Mountain West anymore. So this was like the biggest no-brainer for Richard Pitino to get out now.
And you know what the biggest difference between the biggest difference between Xavier and Minnesota is that Xavier is one of the best jobs in the Big East because they have the funding. They don't have to deal with football, so they're going to be able to get as much NIL revenue as they probably want. They are in a city that absolutely loves basketball, and when they are good, they will put 12,000 in the Cintas Center, and they will be loud, and they will be aggressive, and they will be drunk, and they will be annoying, and they will be everything that you want a college basketball crowd to be. And I made this argument the other day, and Jeff looked at me like an idiot. Like I'm an idiot, which probably happens like 3 or 4 times a day, if we're being honest. But I think that Xavier is a better basketball job than Texas is. I understand where the thought process lies, but Texas is in a better league, right? Texas is in a league where they're never going to be a top half of the league, not just like top quarter, not top 2. They're never going to be a top half of the league basketball job there. I don't think that it is. And I don't know. And I don't know what are they going to be able to get the same level of funding that you'll be able to get at Xavier? Are boosters going to want to give any money to the football team when they say, look, you know what, we can give some money to the basketball team and get a new point guard, but our left tackle's got a bad knee and we might need to get a backup left tackle over there. I think that Xavier is going to be a better basketball job in 3 years than Texas is. And you can call me an idiot as much as you want. I've been called an idiot before. I can deal with it, Goodman.
Fanta, call him an idiot.
Here's the thing. Sean didn't just leave for Texas because of what he thought of Texas. He left because things at Xavier had run their course in a variety of reasons, and there were other circumstances and other politics within that building that led to him saying, you know what, I'm going to take this job. Chris Del Conte and I really see eye to eye. So here's what I will say. If Texas goes to the Final Four and Xavier goes to the Final Four, where does it matter more? Without question, Xavier. Xavier's never been to a Final Four. Never. And they are a basketball-first school. But to suggest that Texas is a back half of the SEC job when they have every resource and the Moody Center is absolutely state-of-the-art outstanding, I don't know if I agree with that one. I also don't even think you can categorize like 90% of the SEC jobs as back half of anything. All those jobs, for the most part, are really strong jobs. I get why Sean left for Texas. I understand it. What I would say to Xavier fans is a lot of Xavier fans are upset about that. And I can understand why you're a little bit upset about it. But Greg I think he felt the need to go outside the family, but to get a guy who fits their values. And I think Richard can be the head coach of this program for the next 10 to 15 years. He could be that next long-tenured head coach at Xavier University. I think more than anything, guys, like the biggest thing about this hire that I take away is that, one, Richard Pitino was on the radar at Villanova. I have people telling me that it never got really that serious, and Villanova never extended him an offer, a formal offer of any kind.
He was second on the list behind Kevin Willard.
Yeah, they never extended him an offer, which just going to tell you what I'm hearing tonight. I still think that Kevin's probably the front runner, but I did hear a couple hours ago that Villanova did bring in a mystery candidate today. I don't know who that person is, but that's
here we go with the mystery candidates. Oh, Goodman loves a good mystery candidate. Do you know how often I heard about the mystery candidate in Indiana? Hey, breaking news. I know who the mystery candidate is. Tyler Hansbrough. Tyler Hansbrough interviewed at Villanova. He was the mystery candidate at Indiana. He was the mystery candidate for the North Carolina GM job. He's the mystery candidate the international man of mystery, Tyler Hansbrough. That's what they call him.
Rob, I like this hire. Jeff, I know you do too.
I love
Tyler, you've seen enough of Richard. Like I think it's a slam dunk. But more than anything, guys, in the Big East, we get 2, if not 3, father versus son battles. And Jeff, is there anyone that makes more fun of Rick Pitino than Richard Pitino?